On stage, Richard Cardillo, everybody.
Thank you. It's June of 1976. Sorry, I'm going to start over. It's June of 1980. I'll get it. It's May of 1982. It's only been in recent years that I've started reflecting on why I always picked graduation dates from high school, from college, from grad school, to be the times that I finally tried to get up enough courage to talk to my mom and my dad and all my brothers and sisters and let them know that I was gay. And I just never did that. I just couldn't do that. I'm from a very, very devout, Catholic, tight-knit family of 9 brothers and sisters. We were raised in the Catholic Church in such a way that I knew that this wasn't even a possibility. I always knew, even from being a child, that I was somewhat different. And I was so afraid that I knew that I was disappointing my dad, that I wasn't as boyish, whatever that was, as my 5 brothers were. So he tried to toughen me up, and he'd take me to Shea Stadium to watch the Mets. And he tried to get me interested in baseball, and I'd just be mesmerized by the grass, the signs, and that organ. And 7th inning stretch would come, and my dad and I would sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" together. And it was about the only bonding I ever had with the man. As I got older, I just didn't want my mom to think I was this sissy boy either. So I couldn't be what I was, and it frustrated me so much getting into high school that I made this really profound decision that I was going to enter a monastery and become a Catholic monk to pray away the gay. And I took a vow of chastity for the rest of my life. Because doesn't every 16-year-old know what they want to do with their penis for the rest of their lives? So I decided that I was going to pray it away, and I asked for a really, really tough assignment. I said, please give me something so that I could just be completely into the work. And my superiors agreed, and they sent me to be a missionary in Peru. And I was there for 10 years as a missionary. And I was so glad when I got that assignment, because what I thought at the time is, great, Latin America, Peru, there can't be any homosexuality down there. Well. So I went down there. I was doing this wonderful, tremendous, transformative work that was changing me, but I couldn't be me. And I was just losing all of that. And I finally decided I had to make moves to get rid of this persona. And everything changed. Even my name changed. I'm Richard Cardillo, and my name changed to Brother Mark for 14 years. But I had to get out of it. And I figured I could come out a little bit at a time with my family. So I left the monastery, but stayed in Peru. And I was going to let them know I left the monastery and that I was dating, and just leave it at that. At the same time, my mom got really, really sick. She had congestive heart failure after all those pregnancies. And I came up on an emergency visit, and she was always just right on the verge of not making it. And I rushed up from Peru on an emergency visit, and I went to her hospital room. And she had an oxygen mask on, and she was just happy to see me. But I said I had to let her know. I had to finally give her the truth about me. Because now the reality was she could die without me sharing my truth with her, my own mother. And she looked at me and she said, "You have something to tell me." And I said, "I do. I've left the monastery." And that's all I could say. And she got a little weepy, and she took her mask off. And she said, "You can tell me, did you leave for a señorita?" And I blushed. And I swear she said this right after, before she put the mask on. "Or was it for a señor?" And I said, she knew. She knew all along. She had to have known. I was so in the closet that I finally started to, and I did get my first boyfriend about that time. His name was Mateo, but I lied to my whole family, and I changed his gender and his name, and I said, I'm dating a woman by the name of Marta. And I had to live with that lie. And I took that lie and all the other lies, and I took them back to Peru about a week after that visit. And 2 weeks after that visit, my mom died. I felt so profoundly frustrated that my mother died with maybe not knowing the truth about her son, that I vowed to come back to the United States and come out to everybody in my family. And I had to make this decision to live a true and authentic life. I came back to the United States, I moved up here, and I took that summer that I moved back to take each and every one of my 9 brothers and sisters out for a lunch to come out to them. I went broke that summer. Went broke. They were all very, very accepting of me, and they all said the same thing at the end. What the hell are you going to tell Dad? And I was still scared witless of what I was going to tell my father. My father was now getting a little old himself, and he was living at home by himself. And I'd go over in the evenings to keep him company, eat dinner, make him his cup of Nescafe, and we'd sit and we'd watch the Mets on TV. And 7th inning, we'd always sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game together. And right before that song came on, I finally said, this is it, do or die. And I couldn't use the word gay. So I said, Dad, do you know that I'm dating guys instead of girls now? And he looked at me. He said, I have never asked anything about the private lives of any of my children, and it's not going to be different for you. So I don't care. From a man who was so emotionally distant, that was the best I was ever going to get out of him, and I was fine with that. And he followed that by saying, so let's sing. 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the... And we sang it together. It felt good that later on in life, he lived long enough to see me with my life partner of 18 years, Peter, and they became really, really close together. So I felt very, very good about that. It's September of 2016. That date I remember. I'm in a large urban high school at a gay-straight alliance dance, and they've invited me as the guest of honor. And they were going to celebrate because it was the 8th graders coming to that first gay-straight alliance dance. And Nate, one of the kids in my 8th grade, said, you gotta come, Mr. Cardillo, I gotta introduce you to my boyfriend, I gotta introduce you. We get there that night, and he said, Mr. Cardillo, I wanna introduce you to my boyfriend, Matthew. But he goes by Matt. And I beamed. And I thought, this is just such a wonderful thing. And Nate, I make you a promise now that I will fight for every right you need to live this beautiful life you have, and that you never live in a world where you have to call your boyfriend Matt Marta. Thank you.